This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. We want to begin with the latest now on COVID-19 case counts here in the territory. We saw just more than 24 new cases of COVID-19 over the past few days territory-wide. The latest numbers from the VI Department of Health show there are currently 63 active cases throughout the VI. There are 38 cases in St. Croix, 22 in St. Thomas, and 3 in St. John. And the number of active COVID cases in the territory is staying relatively low percentage-wise. That's according to the Department of Health. But health officials at the governor's news conference say it's important to keep social distancing as 27 new cases have been reported again just in the last few days. Our USVI News' Ali Bourne-Vanek has more on that, plus an update on the stimulus checks.
Emily, at the governor's press conference, officials gave the usual COVID-19 update when it comes to the numbers, sharing that there are currently 54 active cases of COVID-19 in the territory, and that's information from the Department of Health. The breakdown of that includes 33 cases on St. Croix, 18 on St. Thomas, and 3 on St. John. Now, they also gave information when it comes to the amount of vaccinations that have been administered, saying that the territory has administered about 30,000 vaccinations where people have had at least one dose of the vaccine, and that's good news for the government when it comes to getting to that 50,000 number for herd immunity. The government also shared information when it comes to those $1,400 stimulus checks. Here's more.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Department of Finance have both confirmed this morning that the Virgin Islands has received the funding for the $1,400 stimulus payments under President Biden's American Recovery Plan this weekend. The Bureau and the Department of Finance is in the final days of completing the $600 CARES Act 2 stimulus payments for those individuals who have filed their 2019 income taxes after the tax filing deadline. Once those remaining $600 payments are complete this week, the Bureau of Information, the BIR will continue will configure its system to process the $1,400 American Rescue Plan stimulus payments and anticipate the distribution of those payments as early as next week.
And again, if you have any questions on stimulus checks, you're encouraged to reach out to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. In St. Thomas, Ali Bourne-Vanek, USVI News.
Thank you, Ali. Meantime, efforts to increase COVID vaccinations in the territory are also increasing through the help of COVID vaccine drives. On Monday, the Department of Health partnered with a local St. Thomas business to host a COVID vaccination drive. Dr. Esther Ellis and Deputy Commissioner Hudia Charles helped facilitate the efforts, where about 40 VI residents received COVID shots. The event was open to the public, with special attention, though, on reaching the territory's Latino community.
The governor has indicated that it's critical that we have all members of our community, despite their socioeconomic status or their immigration status, to have them vaccinated in an effort to attain that goal of herd immunity. The population primarily that was vaccinated today are of Latin descent, from the Latin community, and in conversation with them, most are employees and patrons of this business, and they have indicated that they were apprehensive to actually get the vaccine based on being formally offered at different sites. So I thought it would be more friendly to offer it here in a setting that they're comfortable in, that they're familiar with, and it was just humbling that the Department of Health was willing to partner with us as a local business community to offer this vaccination to members of our Latin community.
It's very important that we do the vaccine to everybody that really wants the vaccine, so that we can get to the herd immunity, and everybody, the most about the vaccine, it will be better for us to try to get over this virus.
For yet another day in a row, volcanic ash rained down on an island in the eastern Caribbean. Conditions worsened Sunday on St. Vincent. Residents heard loud rumbling as ash continued to cover the landscape. Thousands of people have been evacuated since the volcano started erupting Friday. Scientists warn the explosions could continue possibly for weeks. Now, this is happening again in St. Vincent, on the island of St. Vincent and St. Vincent in the Grenadines. Now, VI Governor Albert Bryan is offering prayers and support to the people of St. Vincent in the Grenadines, sending a letter to the Prime Minister offering assistance to the more than 16,000 people forced to evacuate St. Vincent, saying the Virgin Islands stands ready to assist with the White House in any humanitarian efforts because of this volcano. Meantime, 110 miles from St. Vincent on Barbados, the territory is being blanketed with ash from these ongoing eruptions. The Prime Minister there announced retail businesses across the island will be closed as of this Monday. Videos on social media showed a layer of ash coating cars and forcing the island's airport to close until Wednesday. During a news conference on Sunday, Prime Minister Mia Mottley said only essential public services and government are going to be opened.
We're not in a position to deal with knowing when this will end, but we know that we have to start the cleanup. And as a consequence, tomorrow must be seen as the beginning of the national cleanup, which may go on for as long as is necessary. But I've laid the foundation for why we cannot leave it any further or wait for seismic and others to tell us that it is over before we do anything. It must start as long as visibility allows and as long as safety can be guaranteed as far as possible. And to that extent, what I would like persons to do is recognize a couple of things. Tomorrow, persons who are essential workers should go to work. All businesses that require the environmental assessment and cleanup will require their staff to come in. It is not a bank holiday, but it is not, retail businesses will not be open to the public.
In the United States, the future of the minimum wage is taking on a new path on Capitol Hill. Democrats are still fighting for $15 an hour. Even some Republicans are suggesting an increase is needed, but perhaps not as much. Our Washington correspondent Matt Knadler explains where things stand right now.
After a minimum wage increase was scrapped from the American Rescue Plan, leaders in Congress are back to the drawing board.
32 million American workers would get a raise. That's a lot of Americans.
On one side, House Democrats appear ready to advance a bill that would raise the wage to $15 an hour over 5 years. That was a campaign promise of President Joe Biden.
$7.25 an hour is something like, if my math is correct, $15,000 a year. How are you supposed to live on that, especially in a state like Hawaii?
But that measure is not expected to pass the Senate. Instead, a pair of GOP senators, Utah's Mitt Romney and Arkansas's Tom Cotton, say $10 an hour is the way to go. Is there a chance that anything happens at the federal level, 15 or even smaller?
I doubt it. As long as we have the filibuster, you're going to need 10 Republican votes to move it forward, and they just don't have it right now.
The federal minimum wage has remained at $7.25 an hour since 2009. 29 states and Washington, D.C. currently have higher levels. Lawmakers at the state level are also taking matters into their own hands, including in Pennsylvania, where the minimum wage remains $7.25 an hour. Pennsylvania State Senator Jan Laughlin, a Republican, is proposing a $10 minimum wage in the Keystone State.
We're actually going to tie it to inflation this time, which is has been the problem with all the other minimum wage increases.
In Washington, Matt Knadler reporting.
Here in the Virgin Islands, the minimum wage is $10.50 per hour, while the federal minimum wage stands at $7.25. It remains to be seen if VI's minimum wage would increase if the feds were to increase it on their end.